Chapter 11. Last leaves of the season. Flowers bloom only to wither. Water hyacinths gather only to drift apart. This is the natural law of creation. Just as humans are born from somewhere, grow old, and eventually must return to some realm of oblivion. This is a pessimistic view of life, what those with religion might call the fleeting existence. But those with a positive spirit accept that change must follow such a law, and it cannot be reversed. They accept it, but do not recognize it as the final condition that every human life must face. No one forces us to get married, have children, and then say, children are karmic debts and spouses are destined adversaries. Nor does anyone force us to live, to declare life as a sea of suffering. If everyone used reason to judge and reflect, then everything must be this way and cannot be otherwise. But dear friends, it's easy to say, but when it comes to practice, it's a different story. According to philosophers, thoughts and conclusions usually stem from three places. Desires and wants often arise from the kidneys, a gut feeling. Love and hate often arise from the heart. Right and wrong, wickedness often arise from the mind. However, this classification depends on each person's understanding and the specific circumstances. Whether a decision is reasonable or not. I am neither a philosopher nor a psychologist, so I dare not delve further into these areas. The reason I discuss this a little is because it relates to the matters I want to express below. After I wrote the piece 38 Years Looking Back for the 63 A-Class Reunion in July 2001, now it's July 2003, and I must write something to commemorate the 40th anniversary of our reunion. After the end of the Vietnam War, my entire family settled in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, a good land where birds flock. In the blink of an eye, it has been 28 long years. Many times I never imagined this day would come, the day when I sit alone, pulling my knees up to talk for fun, because who has the time to talk about everything under the sun with me all day? Age is creeping up on me, following closely. Now I understand the mindset of the elderly, who often sit by the window, pulling back the curtain to look outside for hours, something that used to puzzle me. Why don't older people like to go outside, or why do they tend to be more conservative? I've been retired for nearly 2 years. People say that retirees love to garden and water plants, but I'm too lazy, thick with grease, as my wife often says. The backyard is full of hundreds of flowers in all colors. Occasionally, I'll prune them just to keep the neighbors happy. I spend my days getting up, sitting down, going to the library to borrow books to read, getting bored, and then sleeping. The days pass by like this, one after another. But don't think I'm lazy. I just want to live according to the circumstances of each time and place. When I set foot in this city around July 1975, after 5 days at the sponsor's house, I found a job and worked until I retired in 2001. I never collected unemployment benefits, maybe because I'm like an ant, constantly working from dawn to dusk. I say this so that everyone understands I am not a parasite, just living off society. My children are grown. The youngest is already 29 years old. We've fulfilled our duties as parents, and that's enough to make me happy. Now I occasionally meet old classmates or others, go out to eat, chat, listen to music, sing karaoke, and travel. These activities help pass the time and keep my mind occupied. A few months ago, I received an invitation to the 63 A reunion from Lavon Butte in Southern California, coinciding with a gathering of the 237th Loi Tan Squadron, with the squadron leader Nguyen Phu Chin attending. In the evening there was singing and dancing, organized annually by the Air Force Association of Southern California on Independence Day. We also planned to visit the new Vietnam War Memorial, which was inaugurated a few months ago. According to the schedule, on July 4, 2003 from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., we were to meet 63A friends and have dinner at Nguyen Kim Chung's house. But we couldn't attend because we had to meet the 237th Loi Tan Squadron and other Chinook squadrons at a restaurant in Southern California. My wife and I flew to Burbank Airport at 8:30 p.m. on July 3, 2003, where our youngest daughter, who works at Children's Hospital, picked us up. The next day, we were driven by Dai Bang Dang Duc Quan to the reunion with the Chinook squadron members, where we met Nguyen Van Mai, Nguyen Phu Chin, Nguyen Van Hoa, Din Van Hu, Nguyen Duc Loy, and other brothers like Ba Hung Cao, Tun Chao K, Thuc Phuoc, Nguyen Chan Vu Ngoc, and many others who attended previous gatherings. Almost 3 years later, seeing everyone again, they were much the same, except for one Dai Bang with long snow-white hair, who looked like an old sage descending from the heavens. I almost bowed in respect, but upon closer inspection it turned out to be Dai Wei, the squadron treasurer, Loi Mom. I heard he had surgery recently, so seeing him healthy again is a relief. Wishing Dai Bang a speedy recovery. It had been a long time since I last met Din Van Hu, who now lives in Florida. He still looks young and full of energy. A while back, I met him at SeaTac Seattle Airport when he was training Chinese pilots on the H-34 helicopter, and after that we lost touch. But as with all parties, the one at the restaurant eventually came to an end. Phuoc and his wife kindly invited everyone to continue the party at their house, where we drank and sang until late at night. Le Van Cao went solo this time, offering coffee cups with the Loi Ton insignia and the 2003 reunion logo as gifts to the participants. The members also contributed money to buy gifts for the remaining Chinook squadron members in Vietnam. A few days later, we traveled to San Diego to visit Hoa and his wife, a former operations officer of the 237th Squadron, who later worked in the helicopter division at the Air Force headquarters. Since leaving the refugee camp at Camp Pendleton in July 1975, I've only met them twice. We didn't know their address to visit, but my wife suggested that since we were in the area, we should take the opportunity to visit and invite them to come up to the Pacific Northwest to see the scenery here. Their home is about a 20-minute drive from San Diego, in a small county nestled in a valley surrounded by low mountains, similar to Camp Pendleton, the training base for the U.S. Marine Corps. The vegetation is sparse, unlike the lush greenery of the Pacific Northwest. During the summer, water conservation is necessary, so most of the grass has dried up. Only 1 or 2 Vietnamese families live here, and there are no major factories. People mainly live off small businesses, so there aren't any large skyscrapers like in other places. Their children are all grown and have their own families. Hoa, who used to be plump and hearty, now appears thinner and moves slowly like an old man. I heard he had 2 strokes, which have significantly affected his health. His wife jokingly said to my wife, "Our family was different back then, but now the kids have all moved out, leaving only 2 old monkeys staring at each other." In truth, every family is like that. Water runs over stones and eventually wears them down, just as time erodes the body. Birth, aging, sickness, death, whether we want it or not, everyone must accept this cycle. On Saturday, July 5, 2003, around 9 a.m., Vu Dang Hung and his wife picked us up at our residence to go to the Emerald Bay restaurant in Santa Ana to meet 63A classmates. There I saw familiar faces like Bu Vi, Ku But, etc. I noticed that But still holds on to the saying, "The squadron is paradise," as he busily handled the responsibilities as the head of the organizing committee. I, on the other hand, was still my usual carefree self. We hope you enjoyed the excerpt from this chapter. The complete audiobook of The Last Flight Out by Nguyen Van Ba can be purchased on platforms like Google Play and others. Please subscribe to this channel for more content like this.